As I hope you know by now, we love hearing from you. And an area where we've been especially keen to hear your stories this year is when it comes to problems with the small print. Perhaps a clause in the contract that's caught you out, or terms and conditions that could have been much, much clearer. Because sometimes missing even a few small words can cause you a really big problem, which is exactly what happened to a number of people who got in touch with us after signing up with one particular company and discovering, unfortunately too late, a clause that can leave you seriously out of pocket. It's 18 months since Usha O'Brahy opened up this hair and beauty salon in Wembley.
Okay, I've got one appointment at 11 o'clock, which is free.
She bought the business after taking redundancy from her job as an accountant.
I just thought it would be a good idea, something completely different from what I've been doing in the past. What I actually enjoy most about the job is socialising, actually. You get customers coming, they love to have a chat, and you get to know them, and I think that's the enjoyable part of it.
But 6 months later, after spending £40,000 setting up the business, the reality of running it began to take its toll.
You're committed 6 days a week, basically. You're here from Monday to Saturday. But I do find Sundays taken up with paperwork and doing the accounts and VAT returns and all the rest of it. So really, it's a 7-day job. I'm not getting any younger, so to say. I'm 62 and I've been working for the last over 40 years. And I feel now's the time to sit and enjoy myself.
So Usha decided to sell up. She put her details on a website that lists businesses for sale and very quickly received a call. Not from a prospective buyer, but from a company called Phoenix Business Agents Limited based in Oxfordshire, and not to be confused with other companies with similar names. They claimed that they could sell Usha's business for her, and even better, they could do it fast.
My first question was, how much is it going to cost me? They assured me there'll be nothing to pay up front. The only cost will be when they sell the business. So I thought to myself, I've got nothing to lose, why not?
The company sent round a salesman to discuss things further. When he arrived, Usha was surprised at the high value he put on the business, over £99,000.
I said, it's a bit high. If you put it for that amount, I doubt if you'll get any viewings at all. He said, no, I assure you, we've got thousands of buyers, cash buyers looking for this type of business in the area.
Next, another surprise. As well as a fee of £6,000 if they were successful in selling the business, Usha would need to pay Phoenix an upfront marketing fee of £600, payable as soon as she signed up. But satisfied that it would be refundable after 6 months if there was no sale, she didn't read as thoroughly as she could have done the rest of the contract, a mistake she'd very soon come to regret.
He said that if you do it now, we'll put it on the market, say, tomorrow, straight away, and, you'll be able to sell just like that. So in that sense, I was pressurised, and I didn't really get time to read the contract.
Remember, Phoenix had promised a quick sale. So after paying the £600 marketing fee by credit card, Usha waited for the viewings and the flood of cash buyers she'd been promised. But when after 6 weeks she hadn't had the interest she'd expected, she reduced the price by more than half to £40,000 in the hope that that might attract buyers.
It just wasn't happening, all the claims that they made. And I couldn't go to anybody else as well because obviously it was on a 6-month contract. And I felt I was really stuck in a situation where I couldn't get out.
So at the end of the 6 months she was tied into, disappointed that the company's marketing of her salon had only resulted in 1 viewing, Usha decided to cancel and ask for that refundable £600 back. But when she did, she was horrified to receive from the company not the expected refund, but a demand for another fee of £3,000.
I was absolutely shocked by it, I spoke to one of their secretaries. She said, oh, it's in the clause. I said, what clause? She said, it's on the back of the contract.
When Usha checked, there it was in black and white, a clause saying that if she cancelled at any time, even outside of the initial 6-month period, she would have to pay a termination fee of £3,000. She had signed the contract without even noticing it.
The frustrating amount is, so that's £3,000 is written in words, not in figures. Me being an accountant, I would expect to see any amount with a pound sign and with figures first, and then the words in brackets. But this was not the case. If that was the case, I probably would have picked it up very quickly.
For Usha, it seemed like the best option was to stay on the company's books. That way, she'd lose the £600 upfront fee that she'd hoped to have refunded. But at least she wouldn't have to fork out £3,000. But when she called Phoenix Business Agents Limited to say that she no longer wanted to cancel, they told her it was too late. As far as they were concerned, she couldn't now change her mind, and she'd have to pay that £3,000. Usha feels that means the company is in a win-win situation.
So basically, they're just sitting on a gold mine.
Usha refused to pay, and now the debt collectors are chasing her for the money. So are the charges fair, and would a court force her to pay them? Let's ask a lawyer.
In relation to the £600, I think she has to let that go. That seems to be attributable to the marketing Phoenix have undertaken. The £3,000, I can't see what that relates to. And in order for that to be valid, Phoenix would have to show it relates to some form of loss they've suffered, and I can't see that it relates to any loss.
Phoenix Business Agents Limited disagree with Usha's version of events and insist that she couldn't have felt pressured in any way because, according to their records, they had 2 meetings with her before she signed up. Usha disputes that, but it's why they say she had ample opportunity to read and digest their terms and conditions. They're confident she was never told that there would be no upfront or termination fees, and their terms and conditions speak for themselves in this regard. They say their valuation was based on information that Usha provided, and that their termination fee is to cover the often extensive work done in the minority of cases where a sale is not achieved. They only pursue it in rare cases such as this, where, according to them, it becomes impossible to contact the client, or it's not clear why they have withdrawn the business from sale. And they say that every year they help sell dozens of small businesses with complaints mercifully rare. To them maybe, but not to us. We've spoken to a number of other people who've told us that their experience of Phoenix Business Agents is remarkably similar to Usha's. And Usha herself says she'll never sign a document again without reading it thoroughly first.
I feel very angry with myself as well. I feel really frustrated, and I'm having sleepless nights over it. My blood pressure's gone up. And I just want to warn everybody, other people, not to fall into the same trap as I did, and to make sure they read every single bit of their contract in future, which I have started doing now.
Well, of course, Usha is by no means alone in being caught out by the small print. And it's a common complaint at a time when, from what you've been telling us, terms and conditions just seem to be getting longer and more complicated and more confusing. So how can you avoid being tripped up by the small print? Well, Mary Claire from the Plain English campaign is here to spell it out.
If you're going to challenge any terms and conditions, then you need to be sure from the beginning that you haven't signed or ticked the box unless you really do understand them. If you don't read them, you're giving away your right to challenging them at a later stage. Make sure that there is something about the cancellation date that is clearly detailing how you cancel, how much time you have to cancel, if there's a cooling off period, and who you need to contact in order to cancel. Somewhere within the terms and conditions, there should be contact details for the supplier. Now make sure that you have those contact details and that they are active before you need to use them. So what about privacy policies? That's the area where your personal details, your name, address, telephone number, date of birth even, can be recorded, and if you don't opt out, then those details can be passed on to other suppliers without you realising who they are. If you feel that the terms and conditions are unclear in any way, And if particularly the wording or the length of the document makes it difficult for you to understand the content, then don't feel that that's your fault. You have a responsibility to understand those words, but the supplier has a responsibility to make sure that they are understandable in the first place.